whole area was on fire. There was no escape. Everybody was rushing around. Kevin is attempting to save a group of kids from this fire. Will he be successful in achieving this objective? To find out, let's get to the story. Thus, the movie begins in November 2018. The story's protagonist, Kevin, is shown to us. He works as a driver. His day, however, was just like Rose's. He used to drive school buses, earning a pitiful wage in the process. He had a really hard time surviving. Kevin's mother and kid live with him, but they don't pay attention to him. He doesn't listen to Kevin when he instructs him to go to school. Kevin is unsure on how to handle his son. He has a dog, too. He learns that the dog is ill as well. He transports him to the medical facility. When difficulty arises, he believed, it comes from all directions. Even when a man finds himself in a difficult situation, he maintains his courage. He returns to school the following day, where he boards the bus with the others and departs. This is now the Californian city of Paradise, where it is typically hot and dry. On the mountains, we can make out the electrical poles. Here, sparks fall over the grass as a result of an electric cable short circuit. Currently, the grass was dry because the weather was entirely dry. That grass is on fire then. This fire rapidly spreads to the jungle, which is home to the entire city of Paradise. Those within the city were completely unaware of the impending threat. In order to fix the bus, Kevin had to drive it to the garage after dropping the kids off at school. The jungle was heavily burned by that point. When some police officers notice a fire, they notify the fire department right away. The fire department arrives, but they are aware that it is a bit challenging to get to the fire because it is atop the mountain. Nevertheless, they maintain their bravery and attempt to ascend the mountain in a different manner. However, some employees become trapped in this fire. Kevin, who was traveling from here to the garage on the school bus, is also visible. As of yet, he knew nothing about the fire. From home, his mother calls. She says your youngster needs to be taken to the hospital because he is throwing up. Kevin responds, "Don't worry, I'm coming from a pharmacy with medications, and I have a bus. He must save his son's life, so instead of going to the garage, he heads straight to the pharmacy." The smoke was now clearly visible from inside the city. They discover that the wind is also moving in our direction, indicating that the city will soon be affected by this fire. Police personnel congregate in one location to investigate the origin of the fire. Since starting a fire in an American rainforest is a common occurrence, the fire's rapid start was unusual. Certain flames are managed concurrently with minor fires. However, the fire in this area was still out of control. Officers discover that electrical wires have been put there. Additionally, the wind was so fierce that the electricity was not shut off when the fire started, and the fire began for that reason. Soon, a few employees from the Department of Electricity arrive. The firefighters are furious with them because they should have turned off the electricity since they were unaware of how quickly the wind was blowing. The department personnel shut off all of the electricity following the fire department's discussion, because they are aware that further occurrences of this nature may occur. After that, we see an FBI officer. "I'm stuck in the flames," he informs the firefighters. However, some of the homes here have caught fire and require assistance. He himself aids people here because of this. This house was constructed close to the jungle. In order to save their lives and get them out of here, he puts several individuals in his own automobile. The firefighters now learn that the fire has been going on for a while. The smoke is getting everywhere. At least 5 kilometers have been taken by him. Kevin's employer calls him as well. She advises you to bring the bus as soon as possible, if it has been fixed in the garage, because the kids will be leaving early today. Kevin, however, did not enter the garage with his bus. He was carrying his medications to his home. Small helicopters and ships are brought here because the fire department's cars could not go very far. In order to contain the fire, such ships fill with water and toss it over the jungle, but managing such a fierce fire was quite challenging. The fire was only getting bigger. Because it was impossible to extinguish the fire on land, they requested additional helicopters to do so. The FBI officer was surrounded by fire as he was leaving the bush after saving the lives of a few people. He learns that I am unable to leave this place. In order for everyone to go to the pond and save their lives, he sends them all into it. Kevin also learns that the fire department's vehicles are heading into the jungle, where there is a lot of fire. He tells his son, "I'll get to you very soon," for this reason. Additionally, stay inside the house at all times, because there was smoke everywhere. Every child is within the school. Additionally, they could see the smoke emanating from the windows. They also learned that a fire is burning elsewhere. Additionally, a teacher named Mary was present. She calls all of the kids together and instructs them to take a seat. Many parents had come to the school to pick up their kids because they were also worried about their being lost. However, many parents were still unable to get in touch with their kids. Additionally, there are 22 kids in all. Kevin receives his wife's call. He learns that he and his wife do not share a residence. His wife also learns that my son has had some sort of misfortune. She tells Kevin that he is not required to visit our son because of this. I'll pick him up from your home. A staff member within the school instructs all of the drivers to arrive at the school if their bus is empty and bring the kids along. Due to the fact that the school still has 22 students, we were unable to contact their parents. However, no bus driver responds. Kevin was the only one who had visited the school. He responds, "I will be at school very soon, for this reason. Additionally, I'll come get the kids and take them out." For this reason, Kevin drives his bus fast from here to the school. He must save the kids and transport them to a deserted area on Chico. Kevin thus arrives at the school in a hurry. He transports all of the kids in his bus. Kevin is instructed by Mary, the instructor, to transport all of the kids to Chico, where there is a vacant space. "I can't do this alone," Kevin says. "I need someone to accompany me." Mary responds, "All right, I'll accompany you." For this reason, Mary seats with the kids on the bus as well, and they depart from here. Additionally, the kids were seated in their chairs with ease. The fire department and police were occupied with putting out the fire. The growing fire made them extremely tense. Kevin's bus gets caught in a traffic jam. Everyone was considering leaving, so there was a pretty long traffic bottleneck. As a result, the highway became congested, as all the cars suddenly entered it. As you wait like this, it grows dark. Kevin discovers that there is no escape route. Nevertheless, he manages to get Mary to sit on the seat while stating, "I'll try to clear the way." You now return the bus slowly. Mary then follows suit. "Please let us go," Kevin said, beginning to remove the automobiles from the front. "I have kids." Some people move aside. Kevin's bus finally makes it out of here after much work. Kevin moves the bus forward in this manner to get to his destination. There's a lot of fire here, he notices. Every home is on fire. "We shouldn't remain here," Mary adds. "These kids must be taken to the location where we were instructed to go." Kevin continues from this point on. The bus was surrounded by flames, and the smoke was making it gloomy. The heat from the fire frightened all of the kids. However, Mary was attempting to care for these kids in some way. Currently, a few tents were erected at the Chico campground. Everyone who had been hurt was heading there. Additionally, all buses were instructed to arrive here. However, Kevin's bus was the only one that had yet to arrive. All of the parents of the children on the bus get quite anxious as a result. Nothing could be seen in front of Kevin as he drove the bus. Kevin was simply operating the vehicle in a stylish manner. Every child was begging for water and perspiring. However, it was quite challenging to find water in the area. Kevin stops the bus at the location where there was a bit less fire because of this. Mary suggests that I visit the neighboring homes to observe the water. For this reason, she visits a residence close to the gas station and begins gathering water bottles there. Then, however, Mary cries as the fuel station explodes. However, she managed to get water for the kids. The kids' thirst was then slaked. The fire had now extended significantly farther. Kevin was driving the bus ahead. He had no idea where this journey might go. because there was nothing but darkness and it was only black in the distance. All of the parents made an effort to reassure Kevin's boss. Kevin is a good driver who is transporting the kids on the bus. Additionally, the kids are riding the same bus with a teacher named Mary. Thus, these two will safely bring the kids here. Just trust me. Let others, including the police, do their jobs. Kevin noticed some people running as he continued forward. Since there is no way to proceed, they advise Kevin not to board the bus. You begin running on foot as well. However, Kevin has 22 kids. He can't abandon those kids and flee on foot. He tells Mary to sit in the bus because of this. I look for the path. He discovers that there is no way out of here as he crosses over to look for the route. The only thing present is fire. That is, both in front of and behind there is fire. He concludes that the bus will need to stop here for some time because of this, until the wind doesn't slow down or the flames doesn't somewhat subside. Every child was in tears. Mary was attempting to soothe them. I have an idea, he says to Mary. To prevent the kids from breathing in toxic gas, tear my t-shirt and place it over their faces. So she follows suit. Kevin cuts his t-shirt into little pieces. To help the kids escape, he soaks them in water and offers them to wear on their noses. Now, the police also begin to respond. They discover that a fire this size is uncontrollable, due to the fact that this fire had spread over a very vast region in addition to a tiny one. It cannot be put out with the use of fire department vehicles, helicopters, or aviation aircraft. For this reason, they determined that we must concentrate on only one subject, specifically, to save lives. In front of the media, the senior fire department officers also say that there is no need for concern. We will securely evacuate any children or adults who may be trapped in the fire. In the interim, Mary and Kevin begin conversing and sharing their grief, because they both believe that this may be their final encounter. However, they eventually discover that the fire has gotten quite close. Kevin tries to put out the flames around him as soon as he gets off the bus. However, because the wind is blowing so quickly, it does not qualify as extinguishing the fire. Kevin realizes that no one will now come to his aid after seeing this. For this reason, he boards the bus once more and resolves to ride it regardless of the consequences. Kevin tries repeatedly, but the bus does not start at first. The bus eventually starts after a protracted attempt, and he drives it into the flames. This was a highly dangerous profession, because there was no way to save these kids if the bus caught fire or a flaming tree fell on it. The doors and windows were now shut. Because of this, the smoke had not yet appeared, and Kevin continued to drive and go forward despite the fact that some of it was invisible. After much exertion, he eventually arrives at a location where the fire had not yet spread, and in this manner he can leave that location. He then rides his bus to the destination where he was instructed to do so. The parents were depressed there. However, they know our kids are safe as soon as they see the bus. As a result, every parent is content and looks after their kids. Additionally, the parents express their gratitude to Mary and Kevin. They rescued all the children's lives and took them to safety, because they didn't care about their own. Kevin now needed to locate his family as well. He finds his mother when he enters the camp in search of his family. He wonders, "Where's my son?" with great joy at seeing his mother. According to his mother, "Your wife has taken your son away." However, it was now proved that the fire was eventually put out after a few days of the incident. However, the fire had left its mark even after it was put out. Kevin starts staring at the pictures of his family here as he approaches his burned-out home. He shared my sadness that everyone's home was reduced to ashes. Then, a car pulls up here, and Kevin begins to look. His wife and son emerge from the vehicle. The father and son were both safe when they met Kevin. This makes them really delighted. After realizing her error, Kevin's wife also decided to move back in with him. Because of the significant accident, they had to deal with a lot of challenges. As a result, they came to appreciate the value of family and the benefits of cohabitation. And with this, the plot of this film likewise ends here.